In a move that's shaking up the trade world, former President Donald Trump has announced a dramatic escalation in tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, doubling them to a staggering 50%. Is this a strategic power play or a risky move that could backfire? Let's dive into the details. This bombshell announcement is part of Trump's ongoing America First trade policy, aimed at boosting domestic manufacturing and reducing reliance on foreign imports. But why now? And what does this mean for the U.S., Canada, and global trade? Trump's reasoning is clear. He believes cheap Canadian metals are undercutting American producers and wants to level the playing field. His administration previously imposed tariffs on Canadian metals in 2018, only to later lift them. Now, he's doubling down. Canada isn't taking this lightly. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has strongly condemned the move, calling it harmful to both economies. Many industry experts warn that this could ignite another trade war between the two allies, leading to price hikes, job losses, and supply chain disruptions. So, how does this affect you? Well, if you drive a car, buy appliances, or work in construction, expect prices to rise. Many American manufacturers rely on Canadian metal to keep costs down, and these tariffs could lead to inflation. In key industries, business leaders are pushing back, warning that these tariffs could hurt American jobs more than they help. Politicians on both sides of the aisle are weighing in, some praising Trump for protecting American workers, others calling it a reckless economic gamble. What happens next depends on whether Canada retaliates, how the global market reacts, and whether this move wins Trump's support among blue-collar workers. Will this help him in the election, or could it backfire? But that's not all. Trump has also announced a new wave of tariffs, this time targeting Canadian automobiles, set to take effect on April 2nd. This could be a game-changer for the North. American auto industry, impacting everything from production costs to vehicle prices at the dealership. Canadian auto manufacturers heavily rely on exports to the U.S., and these tariffs could force them to raise prices or cut jobs. If you're in the market for a new car, you might want to act fast. Prices on Canadian-made vehicles could spike in the coming months. Canada is already considering countermeasures. Could we see tariffs on American cars in response? Or will Canada look to strike new trade deals with other global partners? The next few months could shape the future of North American trade relations. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has not held back in his criticism of Trump's tariff decision. Calling it an attack on Canadian workers, Ford has vowed to support Ontario's manufacturing sector and urged the federal government to push back against these tariffs. As Ontario is home to a significant portion of Canada's auto and steel industries, Ford argues that these tariffs could devastate jobs and local economies. With Ontario being a major hub for auto manufacturing and steel production, the increased tariffs could disrupt supply chains, raise costs for local businesses, and even lead to layoffs. Ford has called for emergency talks with industry leaders to assess the damage and develop a strategy to protect jobs. Here's the problem. The U.S. auto industry depends on Canadian metals. Canada supplies nearly 80% of the U.S. primary aluminum imports. This means Ford, GM, and Stellantis now have to pay way more for essential materials. That means higher costs, possible layoffs, and yes, you might be paying more for a new car. Ford's CEO has already called these tariffs a costly disaster, while GM and Stellantis are scrambling to figure out their next moves. Meanwhile, the Coalition of American Metal Manufacturers says this will create chaos for businesses and disrupt supply chains. Stellantis has already hinted at potential production slowdowns. Why? Because if the cost of materials skyrockets, they'll have to cut costs elsewhere. That could mean layoffs, delayed new models, or even pulling back on EV development. Canada is already furious about this move, and officials are warning they might retaliate with their own tariffs. If they do, it could turn into a full-blown trade war, making things even messier for companies trying to do business across the border. If these tariffs stay in place, we could see a major restructuring of supply chains. Some companies might start importing metals from other countries, but that takes time and money. Others might have to raise prices even more. And let's not forget, if Canada retaliates, we could see tariffs on U.S. goods, including agriculture, energy, and even technology. That could send shockwaves through the entire economy. Do you think these tariffs will help or hurt the economy? Is this a smart strategy or a risky political stunt? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more breaking news and analysis. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates on this developing story.